Welcome to Bayhill Studio. Today I am sewing the binding on this adorable flannel baby quilt. The flannel fabric is from Riley Blake Designs. It's part of their designer flannel collection. And it features all of these adorable penguins, polar bears, narwhal, little icebergs, snowflakes, and then this sweet gingham too. And I've started the binding, and I thought I would just quickly show how I do binding. So let me show you here. I started leaving a tail, and it doesn't have to be this long of a tail, but I like to leave a generous tail. And came over to this edge, and now I'm on the second edge, and I'm just going to show you how I do the binding. I'm doing this binding strip of fabric is 2.5 inches wide, and it's folded in half. And I've got the raw edge matched up with the raw edge of my quilt, and I'm stitching a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, now as I get to this edge, I'm going to stop 1/4 inch before the edge. So I can envision that 1/4 inch in my mind. If you can't visualize that, then just mark it with a pencil or anything. I'm going to back stitch and turn my quilt so that this edge is at the top. And then what I'm just going to do is fold my strip up, which forms a 45-degree angle here. And then I'm just going to fold it back over itself like that. And then I'm going to go along this edge 1/4 inch from the edge. And continue and do that when I reach the next corner. Okay, so now I turn it again, flip this up like so, and then back over on itself. Okay, so again I stopped a 1/4 inch before the edge. This is my last corner. Turn it up and then back over on itself. And then just start stitching a 1/4 inch seam again. Okay, and then I am going to stop. I'm going to leave about a 10-inch opening. You can do whatever feels comfortable to you. I like a decent sized opening. And then I am going to show you what's next. I'm going to lift my camera position a little bit so that you can see what I do next. Okay, so I've got this opening here. And what I want to do is overlap these two and create a diagonal seam just like here. When I attached all of my 2.5 inch strips together, I want to replicate that here in this joint. and it's actually really easy to do. It took me a while to understand it, and a few tries I would get it wrong, but once it's clicked in my head, it was so easy, and now I can't go back to any other method. So I am going to cut this strip just a little over halfway, maybe halfway. And then the strip that I cut off, I'm going to use, this is 2.5 inches wide. And I'm going to use that to create a 2.5 inch overlap with the remaining strip. I want these to overlap by 2.5 inches. So then I'm going to cut that one off. And now you see I've got this one, and they overlap by 2.5 inches. Okay, so then I can throw that extra piece away. And now I am going to place these right sides together like so. So the this top edge, and I don't know how to say this. Let's see. I open it up, and then the second piece I just turn so that this bottom edge is even with the side, the short end. That's probably the easiest way to say it. So you open up the strip on your left, and then the strip on your right, match it up so that this bottom edge is even with the side. I know I'm kind of talking slow here because I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Now I'm going to do a diagonal stitch. So this outer corner we want to get rid of, and that's how I mentally think of it. And so you aren't going to stitch using the diagonal, this outer corner, which I used to do, and that's where I would always get this wrong. So now I just realize in my mind we want to get rid of the outer corner, so we do not stitch on it. We are going to stitch from this corner to this corner, and I just like to eyeball it, but you can draw a line, and it would be from this corner and then 2.5 inches down here. So I'm just going to line these up and stitch. And then we have that outer corner that we can just cut off. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch past my stitching line. Throw away that excess. And then I'm just going to finger press this open and fold it back in half. And look at that. We've got that nice diagonal joint. So now I'm just going to continue 1/4 inch seam to close this this extra part, just to finish off this part right here. Now, as you can see, I did sew my binding to the back of the quilt. You can sew it to the front, but I'll explain the difference. When I sew my binding to the back, you typically you'll fold it over to the front, and typically when you do this, you'll just machine stitch to the front. You don't have to, you can hand stitch. But most hand stitchers, they will sew the binding to the front, flip it over, and then hand stitch to the back. So it's just personal preference. I like to machine stitch. I don't have any patience for hand stitching. And then I know quilters who will only hand stitch their binding. And typically they'll sew it to the front and hand stitch it to the back. That way the front has this perfect seam, just like you see here. And then anything that might be a little messy is on the back. So I just fold it over now. And then I line up my presser foot so that my stitching is very close to the edge. And I just start going around the edges. you prefer to pin or clip your binding in place, you can definitely do that. I just like to wing it. And then when you get to the corner, you're going to flip the corner over and then straighten it out. And then this part, the extra part from this side, you're going to fold over, creating a 45-degree angle here. And then just stitch a little bit over that to catch it. Turn. And continue. Now, I would say a lot of people do like, instead of doing 2.5 inch wide on the binding, they like to do 2 1/4 inch or even 2 inch for a very narrow binding. But I will say with flannel, I recommend sticking to 2.5 inch because the flannel is so bulky, it would probably be really tight to do anything smaller. And if you want to do something smaller, I suggest practicing on a sample piece to make sure that it works. So I'm coming up on the corner again, and I just flip the binding over towards the front and straighten this side, and then fold over the other side, the other strip, and create this 45-degree angle here. I do 1 or 2 stitches onto that folded corner to catch the fold, and then pivot the with the needle down, pivot the quilt, and just continue on. that's how it's done. So you might have noticed as I was sewing, I did backtrack a few areas where I had accidentally sewn off of the edge and didn't catch the binding. On a nicer quilt, I would stop and unpick and just neatly start where it came off and continue on and try not to let that show. Let's see where I did that. But on this one, like here, I didn't care. This is, one, it's flannel, and so it's hardly going to show any errors because it's going to get really like nice and crinkly and soft as it gets washed. But it also, because it's a baby quilt, this hopefully will just be used, like washed and dried a million times and dragged through the dirt, taken into the dirty car and road trips and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about perfection with this one. It's just a quick, easy baby quilt. So I hope that this method of adding the binding is clear to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave questions in the comment section below, and I will gladly answer any of those for you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.